Hello and good morning. The topic for today is Humanistic Theory of Personality, which belongs to the subject educational psychology. As we all are aware that personality is a very wide concept and it is something which we generally talk about. So it is broadly described as the characteristic patterns of thoughts, feelings, behaviors that make a person unique. So, if in simple terms we want to talk about personality, it is which makes it you. So you should have the outer appearance, the inner traits. These all are combined as personality. So there are various factors which influence personality, and the learning objectives for today's class will be to understand the essence of humanistic theory of personality, to know the importance of human values and dignity, to understand the purpose of the theory and the role of teacher in it. So in today's class, we will be discussing about the humanistic theory as proposed by Maslow and also Carl Rogers. So personality is something which plays a very important role in human behavior. So an entire branch of psychology is devoted to the study of this personality, and psychologists are basically very much interested in unique characteristics of individuals as well as the similarities which they found in various groups of people. So let us take a look at the history of humanistic psychology first. So Maslow developed a hierarchical theory of human motivation, and Carl Rogers publishes significant aspects of client centered therapy, and which is also known as the person centered therapy. And in 1957 and in 1958, at the invitation of Abraham Maslow and Clark Mustakas, two meetings were held in Detroit among psychologists who were interested in founding a professional association which is dedicated to a more meaningful, more humanistic version. So basically these psychologists wanted that there should be some aspect which is related to the human part. What are their feelings, what are their values, what are their needs, how a person need to be catered while dealing with this psychology. So the humanistic approach began in response to concerns by therapists against the already perceived theories like psychodynamic theories, especially the psychoanalysis. And individuals like Carl Rogers and Abraham Maslow felt that the existing psychodynamic theories, they have failed to address issues like the meaning of behavior, the nature of healthy growth, the things which were related to humans. So, Maslow's ideas surrounding the hierarchy of needs concerning the responsibility of employers to provide a workplace environment that encourages and enables employees to fulfill their own unique potential. That is the self actualization. And we will be dealing with it in detail in the later part of the video. And they are today more relevant than ever. So, human psychologist Carl Rogers actually opposed the psychoanalytic personality theory as he was, dissatisfied with the dehumanizing nature of this school of thought. So, the central tenet of humanistic psychology is that people, have drives that lead them to engage in activities resulting in personal satisfaction and a contribution to society. So, this is the actualizing tendency actually. In 1962, with the sponsorship of Brandeis University, this movement was formally launched as the Association for Humanistic Psychology. So these, basically these psychologists disliked psychodynamic and behaviorist explanations of personality, and they felt that these theories basically ignored the qualities that make humans unique from animals, and all the other living beings. And they actually want to strive for self determination, what they want to realize, self realization. So this was a movement which started in 1950s. So the first issue of the Journal of Humanistic Psychology appeared in the spring of 1961. Humanistic psychology is based on the philosophies of existentialism and humanism. So these philosophies, both of the main tenets, have been included in this psychology part. So what is humanism and what is existentialism? Let us take a look at humanism first. It is a psychological approach that emphasizes the study of the whole person and the uniqueness of each individual. So they basically focused on the uniqueness, that every person is unique from other, and we cannot say that the other person should be same like one person. So others maybe have different qualities in them. And then, if we talk about existentialism, it emphasized the quest for personal meaning. What is the existence of humans? What is the existence of our personality? And also, it determines the personal values. So, these are the basic principles behind humanistic psychology. And these are: someone's present functioning is their most significant aspect. So, to be mentally healthy, individuals must take personal responsibility for their actions. So, individuals must know that what is good for them, what is bad for them, how they can improve their personality, how they can reach to the level of the self actualization where they have achieved all the needs, they have fulfilled all the needs. So, each person, simply by being, is inherently worthy. Just by living their life as it is, simply by being a human being, they can be inherently worthy of living this life. So, the ultimate goal of living is to attain personal growth and understanding. So, we need to understand what is our aim, what is our goal in life, what we want to do. Do we want to run in the rat race, what others are doing, or we need to fulfill our demands, our needs? What are our needs, which personal needs, personal for personal growth and understanding? So, this is how the humanistic theories of personality came into being, and it stressed on the basic goodness of human beings and the need to achieve one's full potential. So, it rejected the assumptions which were earlier given by the behaviorism and psychoanalytic approach. And as we have discussed, that two well-known psychologists for their humanistic theories are known as Carl Rogers and Abraham Maslow. Let us now talk about Abraham Maslow. He was born in 1908 and he passed away in 1970. He has been considered as the father of humanistic psychology. So, he was an American psychologist who was best known for creating Maslow's hierarchy of needs and a theory of self actualization. He was a psychology professor at Brandeis University, Brooklyn College, New School for Social Research, and Columbia University. So basically, he placed emphasis on choice, creativity, values, self realization, all distinctively human qualities, and believed that meaningfulness and subjectivity were more important than objectivity. So these were the hierarchy of needs which was given by Abraham Maslow, and he believed that there are certain needs which need to be completed for the human beings. So he gave, as we can see here, that the four needs which are at the lower level of hierarchy are the deficit need or the D needs, and the being needs, where the person is satisfied that I have achieved what I have done till now, or the needs have been fulfilled now, so he automatically will reach to the level of self actualization. So this is how this is the being needs, and these all are the deficit needs which need to be completed. Until and unless these needs are completed, the person will not reach to its the most ultimate level of their living life, that is the self actualization. So let us now discuss what are these needs basically. So first of all, we will discuss the physiological needs. So these are the basic needs which we need for our survival, and these are the food, water, oxygen, sex, sleep, removal of body waste. And after that, these are the needs which need to be, completed and fulfilled every time. And after that only, we move on to our next needs, that is safety and security needs. So safety and security needs include that you have a good financial status, you have been employed, earning member of the family, your family, this at this stage you need your family, you need a family which supports you, you should have a healthy body, all the resources which you need for living a life, all the structures which are needed for a good life. So when you receive that safety and security in your life, you move on to your next need, and that is the love and belonging needs. Because after we have received all the material needs, now we need the affection thing. So we need a family for friend and also the friendship. So these are also a necessary needs for a human being, then only he will be able to move on to the being needs. And then there is esteem needs. After fulfilling all the needs, that is physiological needs, safety and security needs, love belonging needs, after that there are the esteem needs, and which means that with certain point of time, by practicing many things, you attain confidence, you achieve something in your life, you're respected by others, you respect others. So these are the esteem needs which also need to be fulfilled for a person. So he provided for a healthy human personality, and for this these needs were very essential. And he actually Maslow studied exceptional historical figures such as Abraham Lincoln, Eleanor Roosevelt, as well as some of his own contemporaries whom he thought had exceptionally good mental health. So for this he need to understand that how people become successful in life by attaining all their needs, and how they self actualize themselves. So while talking about the esteem needs, there are two versions for that. There is the lower esteem and the higher esteem. And the lower esteem is the need for respect of others, need of the status, recognition, fame, glory, dignity, your reputation, attention, and sometimes you need dominance also. And then there are higher esteem needs. So these higher esteem needs are much more mature, like the need for self respect. You need to understand that how you can earn the respect, the need for the strength, competence, that you need to learn the certain skill to its competent level, the mastery, the confidence, independence, and the freedom. It comes automatically with the confidence which you have if you have attained any kind of mastery in your skills. So you will automatically get your self respect. Then there are cognitive needs, aesthetic needs, and transcendence needs also. Cognitive needs are based on basically knowledge and the understanding level, that we are able to gain more and more knowledge and understanding of everything. Aesthetic needs, it is the need for the beauty, the appreciation of the beauty, order, symmetry. Then there are transcendence needs, which is the needs for helping others. As you are able enough to support yourself, then you will be able to help others also. And at the top of the hierarchy of needs by Maslow comes the self actualization. And self actualization, according to Maslow, is the intrinsic growth, the inner growth of what is already in the organism. It is already there in our, in ourselves, in our body, in our personality, or more accurately, of what the organism is. Why are we here? What is the purpose behind that? What was the aim for achieving all those other deficient needs? So at this level we need to think about that. So the quest for attaining the highest possible level of our potential is self actualization. You must be having potential, but you need to reach to that level, that this is the highest possible level, and after that, after this, you will not be able to excel in your life. or you have excelled whatever you wanted to. So this is the self actualization, that I have achieved what I wanted to in my life, and now I need to make it better in various ways. So it emphasizes our inner drive to grow and improve ourselves. And we will be able to improve ourselves or grow in our life only when we are satisfied with all the things around us. We have all the security, safety, all the needs to be fulfilled, and we know that we have achieved our potential. We are very much, uh, knowing that whatever we have done is successful. So this is the awareness and the acceptance of yourself, that yes, whatever other people say, whatever other people achieves, it doesn't concern me, because I have achieved what I wanted to. So that is self actualization. These are some of the characteristics of self-actualized people, as we have discussed, that Maslow studied on various, contemporary personalities, famous personalities who have reached to that level. So based on that, we can see that the acceptance and realism. So we need to accept that we are able to do these things. We have potentiality of attaining these things, and these things we cannot attain. Problem centering, you can find out what the real problem is. You can focus on the problem. Openness and spontaneity, you need to you are open to everything. Because you have reached to the being level. Autonomy and solitude, now you can think about yourself, your self respect. You can introspect that in what areas you need to excel, what are the things in which you can do better, how you can grow. Continued freshness of appreciation, so not others, you want others to appreciate you, but also on your own you can continue to maintain the doing the learning new skills, or appreciate whatever you do. That will be done selflessly, so you will be responsible for that. The tendency to have peak experiences that are spiritually or emotionally satisfying. So you need to achieve satisfaction in everything what you do. There should be a critical thinking process, so that you know that whatever you are doing, if it is not good, you should move on to the other options. The social interest, because when you have fulfilled your needs, you need to fulfill the others needs, the society's need. You are able enough to help others also in certain areas. So here is a concept known as homeostasis, and Maslow talks about these levels in the terms of homeostasis. And homeostasis is the principle by which you furnace thermostat operates. Like when it gets too cold, it switches the heat on, and when it gets too hot, it switches the heat off. So this is the homeostasis, perspective given by Maslow. Maslow sees, these hierarchy of needs as essentially survival needs. So, if you have taken birth as a human, you need to survive in this world, and for that, you need certain things which are essential for you. So, even love and esteem are needed for the maintenance of health. When you are not happy by the security around you, the affection what you are getting, so you will not be able to, concentrate on your health and maintain your health also. So Maslow says that we all have these needs built into us genetically. So this is not something new. This is in our genes. And every person, every human needs this. So these are basically like instincts. Whatever, if you have to survive in this society, in this world, you have to get, those essential things. So in fact, he calls these needs as instinctoid, that is instinct, which are like needs. So under stressful conditions, or when survival is threatened, we can regress to a lower need level. So as we have seen that these are the hierarchy of needs. So one by one, going down to the last level, physiological needs, we try to go upwards, reach to the highest level. And if there is, our survival is threatened by something, then we regress to a lower level need, because we first need to, achieve those needs which are at that level. So when a person's good career, is in danger, the person might seek out a little attention. He need to safeguard it first, otherwise he will not be able to climb the next ladder. Similarly, when the family leaves the person for certain reasons, it seems that love is what the individual wanted. So, many a times we can see that people know the value of certain people only when they leave you. So, this is how what our family works for us, because we know family will never leave us. So, this is the basic security which is surrounding us like a blanket. So if the family is leaving us, that means we are going to regress automatically to the lowest level need. First of all, we need to secure that love and affection first. So when the person faces sudden reduction in income, especially after a long and happy life, the person may not be able to think of anything except money, because they were living such a comfortable life, and suddenly there are ups and downs in their life. They have lost their employment, or in certain conditions they are not able to get, their business is not doing well, or they are not earning well. So they will not be able to think anything else. They will not be able to climb in the hierarchy, because they need to first, complete this need hierarchy first. So Maslow suggested that we can ask people for their philosophy of the future. That is, what would be their ideal life or world be like? So every person must have thought that what is an ideal life you want, and sometimes they are influenced by other successful people, their neighbors, their friends, their family members. So they will be able to, imagine in their mind. They can frame that what kind of ideal life they have thought for themselves. So you can get significant information as to what needs they have or they have not covered yet. So this is how every person will have different perspective regarding this, and they will have different needs. But more or less, Maslow has suggested the common genuine needs which all human beings need. If the person had faced significant problems along the many stages of development, that is, if the person had faced a period of extreme insecurity, or suffered from hunger pangs for long hours as a child, or had sustained the loss of a family member through death or divorce, or had faced the possibility of the person getting fixated at the stage of development where such problems occur to the individual. So there may be many things which will force them to regress to the lower level of the hierarchy. So fixated means that the person continues to look for satiating those needs for the rest of life. So until and unless these needs are complete, they will not be able to go to the next level. Then there is another concept which is discussed by Maslow, that is the concept of neurosis. As for neurosis, Maslow has a different point of view, and he stated that every individual would like to reach the stage of self actualization. So, every person wants an ideal life for themselves. So, this is the last stage of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Maslow has used a variety of terms to refer to this level, and he has called this as growth motivation in contrast to deficit motivation. So that is, there are certain needs which contribute to the growth and development of the person, and these are called as being needs or B needs, which is contrast to deficit or the D needs and self-actualization. So these are needs that do not involve balance or homeostasis. Once they engaged, they continue to be felt. So, in fact, they are likely to become stronger as we feed them, as we achieve them. So, they involve the continuous desire to fulfill our potential, to be all that you can be. You long for that. They are a matter of becoming the most complete, the fullest. You, hence the term self actualization. Where you think about yourself, you have self actualized. Fortunately, he did this for us using a qualitative method called biographical analysis. So, this was the method it was used by Maslow for knowing about the various needs. He began by picking out a group of people, some historical figures, some people he knew, whom he felt clearly met the standard of self actualization. So he clearly identified which people we can say that they can, clearly be told that they have self actualized. So the self actualizers also had a different way of relating to others. First, they enjoyed solitude, remaining, aloof from the world, and were comfortable being alone. Because while we are looking for the security, the safety, there is some point where you can think that you have achieved everything and now you don't need anyone to support you. You have achieved independence, you have achieved freedom, so you are comfortable being alone. And they enjoyed deeper personal relationships with a few close friends. There must be friends, but it does not mean that you have to be lot and lot of friends. Few close friends are also enough for your safety needs. And family members, rather than more shallow relationships with many people. So this also matters. So they enjoyed autonomy, relative independence from physical and social needs, and they resisted any kind of inculturation. That is, they were not susceptible to social pressure that this should be done if you need to live in this society, that you should achieve this if you have to live in this society. And this pressure was, they have taken off that pressure from themselves. They have well adjusted or fit in wherever they want to. So, in fact, non-conformist is the best sense. They do not have to, follow the rules of others. So, further, they had a sense of humility because they have reached a certain level and they have respect towards others. So, something Maslow has also called as democratic values, meaning that they were open to ethnic and individual variety, even treasuring it. So, they had a quality Maslow called human kinship, or there's a certain word which has been given in German language: social interest, compassion, humanity. And this was accompanied by a strong ethics which was spiritual but seldom conventionally religious in nature. And these people had a certain freshness of appreciation, an ability to see things, even ordinary things, with wonder. Along with this comes their ability to be creative, inventive, and original. And finally, these people tended to have more peak experiences than the average person. So, a peak experience is one that takes you out of yourself, that makes you feel very tiny or very large, to some extent, one with life or nature or God. Maslow doesn't think that self actualizers are perfect, of course. He doesn't think that, but he has tried to, motivate, inspire other people that how self actualizers are living among us only. So there were several flaws or imperfections he discovered along the way while going through his analysis. First, they often suffered considerable anxiety and guilt, but realistic anxiety and guilt rather than misplaced or neurotic versions. And some of them were absent minded and overly kind. And finally, some of them had unexpected moments of ruthlessness, surgical coldness, or loss of humor. So these were certain aspects which were in present in certain self-actualizers. Then there are meta needs and metapathologies. Another way in which Maslow approaches the problem of what is self-actualization is to talk about the special driving needs, B needs, of course, of the self-actualizers. They need the following in their lives in order to be happy. That is truth rather than dishonesty, goodness rather than evil, beauty, not ugliness or vulgarity, unity, wholeness, and transcendence of opposites, not arbitrariness or forced choices, aliveness, and not mechanization of life. So this is how these are the needs they want in their life if they want to be happy. So uniqueness they want, not any kind of uniformity that certain person is doing that I have to do that. Then they have perfection and necessity, but they are not inconsistent. They have a sense of completion rather than incompleteness. They have a sense of justice and order, not injustice and lawlessness. They are simple. They believe in simple living and high thinking, but not unnecessary complexity. They believe in the richness, not environmental impoverishment. They do things effortlessly and not based on in any tension or any based on any strain. They have some playfulness. They are not grim, humorless, or drudgery. They have a feeling of self sufficiency, not dependency on anything. They have meaningfulness rather than senselessness. So, in fact, Maslow believes that much of the what is wrong with the world comes down to the fact that very few people really are interested in these values, because this society does not leave any person who can follow all these characteristics, not because they are bad people, but because they haven't even had their basic needs taken care of. So we are human beings, we can do mistakes also. So we can be tempted, we can follow others, not knowing that that thing is not good for us. So, when a self actualizer doesn't get these needs fulfilled, they respond with meta-pathologies. This is a list of problems as long as the list of meta needs. So, there are unlimited needs for us, and this will lead to meta-pathologies. So, when forced to live without these values, the self actualizer develops depression, despair, disgust, alienation, and a degree of cynicism. So Maslow hoped that his efforts at describing the self actualizing person would eventually lead to a periodic table of the kinds of qualities, problems, pathologies, and even solutions characteristic of higher levels of human potential. So over time, he devoted increasing attention not to his own theory, but to humanistic psychology and the human potentials movement. Now, after completing the theory as given by Maslow, now let us move on to the theory as given by Carl Rogers. So, human psychologist Carl Rogers opposed psychoanalytic personality theory as he was dissatisfied with the dehumanizing nature of the school of thought. So, the central tenet of humanistic psychology is that people have drives that lead them to engage in activities resulting in personal satisfaction and a contribution to society. So, this is the actualizing tendency. And this tendency is present in all organisms, and it can be defined as the motivation present in every life form to develop its potentials to the fullest extent. Humanistic psychology is based on an optimistic view of human nature, and the direction of people's movement is basically towards self actualization. So, he talked about the self concept. The concept of the self, according to Rogers, is primarily the conscious in a human being. So, the most important determinants of behavior are those that are conscious or are capable of becoming conscious. So, Rogers argues that a notion of the self that includes a reference to the unconscious, as with Freud, cannot be studied objectively as it cannot be directly known. So, Rogerian personality theory distinguishes between two personalities, the real self and the self, the ideal self. So, the real self is created through the actualizing tendency, it is the self that one can become. The demands of society, however, do not always support the actualizing tendency, and we are sometimes forced to live under conditions that are out of step with our tendencies. So, the ideal self is the ideal which is created through the demands of the society, what should be and what you are really. So, Rogers tells us that organisms know what is good for them. Evolution has provided us with the senses, the tastes, the discriminations we need. When we are hungry, we find food, not just any food, but food that tastes good. Food which tastes bad is likely to be spoiled, rotten, and unhealthy. So this is called organismic valuing. So among the many things that we instinctively value is positive regard. Rogers' umbrella term for things like love, affection, attention, nurturance, and so on, it is clear that babies need love and attention. So, the first concept which Rogers have talked about is incongruity. The aspect of your being that is founded in the actualizing tendency follows organismic valuing, needs, and receives positive regard and self regard. Rogers calls the real self, it is the you that, if all goes well, you will become. On the other hand, to the extent what our society wants. So here, we will receive only conditional positive regard and self regard. We develop instead an ideal self. So by ideal, Rogers is suggesting something that not real, something that is always out of our reach and the standard we cannot meet. So this gap between the real self and the ideal self, the I am and the I should be, is called incongruity. What I am and what I should be. The greater the gap, the more is the incongruity. So the more the incongruity, the more the individual suffers. So this is basically the difference which we are seeing. So in fact, incongruity is essentially what Rogers means by neurosis, being out of synchrony with your own self. Then there are differences. When you are in a situation when there is an incongruity between your image of yourself and your immediate experience of yourself, that is, between the ideal self and the real self, you are in a threatening situation. For example, if you have been taught to feel unworthy, if you do not get A's on all your tests, and yet you are not really all that great a student, then situations such as tests are going to bring that incongruity to light. That is, test will be very threatening for you. So you will automatically develop a defense mechanism for you. So when you are expecting a threatening situation, you will feel anxious. So anxiety is a signal indicating that there is a trouble ahead, that you should avoid the situation. So one way to avoid the situation, of course, is to pick yourself up and run away from there, since that is not usually an option in life. And instead of running physically, we run psychologically by using defenses. So denial means very much what it does in Freud's system. You block out the threatening situation altogether. So an example might be the person who never picks up his test or asks about test results. So he doesn't have to face poor grades, at least for now, because he has not asked for the result. Now, denial for Rogers does also include what Freud called repression. If keeping a memory or an impulse out of your awareness, refuse to perceive it. You may be able to avoid, again, for now, a threatening situation. Perceptual distortion is a matter of reinterpreting the situation so that it appears less threatening. So it is very much similar to Freud's rationalization. A student that is threatened by tests and grades may, for example, blame the professor for poor teaching, tricky questions given, bad attitude, or whatever. So he does not want to accept that he has failed and he has not done the proper study. The fact that sometimes professors are poor teachers, write trick questions, and have bad attitudes only makes the distortion work better. If it could be true, then maybe it really was true. Rogers also has a partial explanation for psychosis, and psychosis occurs when a person's defense are overwhelmed and the sense of self becomes shattered into little disconnected pieces. So then there is a fully functioning person. Rogers, like Maslow, is just as interested in describing the healthy person. His term is fully functioning. and involves the following qualities. So this is similar to the self actualizing actualized person, the fully functioned person. So he will be open to experiences. He will try to experience more and more and try to imbibe many qualities, try to feel that. If you cannot be open to your feelings, you cannot be open to actualization. So this is the hard part, of course, but the distinguishing of real feelings from the anxieties brought by the conditions of birth. Then there is existential living. So this is living in the here and now, what we are doing. So Rogers, as a part of getting in touch with reality, insists that we not live in the past or the future. The one is gone and the other isn't anything at all yet. So the present is the only reality we have. We need to understand that. Then there is organismic trusting. We should allow ourselves to be guided by the organismic valuing process. We should trust ourselves, do what feels right, what comes natural. Rogers meant trust your real self, and you can only know what your real self has to say if you are open to experience and living existentially. So, in other words, we can say organismic trusting assumes you are in contact with the actualizing tendency. There is experiential freedom. So we feel very much as if we do. So this is not to say, of course, that we are free to do anything at all. We are surrounded by certain, things like flap my arms as much as I like. I will not fly like Superman. So it means that we feel free when choices are available to us. So Rogers says that the fully functioning person acknowledges that feeling of freedom, that takes responsibility for his choices. So every person need to take responsibility whether bad or good choices he has made. Creativity, then. If you feel free and responsible, you will act accordingly and participate in the world. A fully functioning person will get in touch with the actualization and will feel obliged by their nature to contribute to the actualization of others, even life itself. So, this can be through creativity in the arts or sciences, through social concern and parental love, or simply by doing one's best at one's job. So, creativity, as Rogers have given the concept, is very close to Erickson's generativity. Then Carl Rogers is best known for his contributions to therapy. He originally called his therapy to be non directive because he felt that the therapist should not lead the client, but rather be there for the client while the client directs the progress of the therapy. As he became more experienced, he realized that as non directive as he was, he still influenced his client by his very non directiveness. So here the client will be guided on their own. They will not be guided by the therapist. So he has given now the name as client centered therapy. He still felt that the client was the one who should say what is wrong, find ways of improving, and determine the conclusion of therapy. So his therapy is still very client centered, even while he acknowledged the impact of the therapist. So, for example, when you help a child to learn to ride a bike, you cannot just tell them how. So, you have to be supportive, not reconstructive. So, they have to try it for themselves. So, if there is a client, someone sitting there, they want help, this does not mean that everything need to be done by the therapist. You should be, motivated more to find out about yourself, and you cannot hold them up to whole time either. There comes a point when you have to let them go. If they fall, they fall. But if you hang on, they will never learn. So, this is the kind of therapy which gives independence and what the client wants to achieve, how he wants to get independent. This is a kind of a reflection. So, reflection must come from the heart and it must be genuine and congruent. So, Rogers felt that a therapist, in order to be effective, must have three very special qualities, that is, congruence, that is, genuineness and honesty with the client, empathy, the ability to feel what the client feels, respect, acceptance, unconditional positive regard towards the client. So, this is how, the therapist does not show these three qualities, the client's improvement will be minimal. And no matter how many techniques are used, a therapist will not be able to solve the problems of the client. So this is how the humans, how they feel, what are the emotions of the humans, the feelings, their needs. This should be dealt with. So this was a whole about the humanistic theory of personality, which we discussed today, and the contributions as given by Abraham Maslow and Carl Rogers. And for this, you can refer to various international and national aspects, through NCERT has also given about the psychology. We have eGyan Kosh, which is the free open educational resource which you can go through, and you will be able to find out more about this theory. Now we will move on to our next section, that is evaluation questions. And the first question is, a psychologist associated with the humanistic approach is? The options are Buck Rogers, Roy Rogers, or Carl Rogers. So out of these options, we can see the correct answer is Carl Rogers. The second question is, the humanistic approach understands us in terms of? The options are the unconscious, the self, the environment. And the correct answer is the self. Because we want to understand what a human wants to do, what he feels about himself, the introspection part. The next question is, which of the following influence your self-image? The options are phenomenology, physiology, or phrenology. And the correct answer is phenomenology. The next question is, this psychologist wrote about the hierarchy of needs. And the options are Albert Bandura, Arthur Jensen, Abraham Maslow. And the correct answer is Abraham Maslow was the one who write about the hierarchy of needs. Next question is, physiological safety, love, and belongingness and esteem are all examples of our? The options are sexual needs, deficiency needs, or growth needs. And the correct answer is D needs or the deficiency needs. Which of the following are growth needs? And the options are knowledge and understanding needs and self-actualization, physiological needs and esteem, cognitive needs and safety. And the correct answer is knowledge and understanding needs and self-actualization. These are the needs which will lead to our growth. The next question is, physiological needs are options are emotional needs, cognitive needs, or bodily needs. So these are our bodily needs. When we find ourselves excluded from groups we want to join, we, options are value ourselves more, value ourselves the same, value ourselves less. So if we are not able to join, the group we want to be, then we are valuing ourselves less, because we think that if we join that group and if we are thrown out of the group, then that means that we are less, knowledgeable, or we have not achieved something. So this will automatically make ourselves valuing less than others. Who in childhood influence our self-esteem the most? So in the childhood times, parents are the people who influence our self-esteem the most, not the teachers or not the friends, but parents are the most influential people in our lives at that time. Carl Rogers developed patient-centered therapy, learner-centered therapy, or person-centered therapy. And as we have discussed that Carl Rogers discussed about the self-concept, and he developed person-centered therapy or the client-centered therapy, so which focused on the non-directive approach towards the client. And with this, we come to the end of the lesson today, and hope you will be going through all the resources and the references. Thank you very much.